So hi there, Terry. Thank you for submitting your portfolio for some review. I just briefly looked at it, but let's just run through it again. So you have quite a lot of environments, and you also have characters in between. So for me, right off the bat, it's difficult for me to know if you're character heavy, character driven, or if you're more into environment. But it's to me, it just seems like you have a little bit equally both. So maybe just pick a lane saying that either character or environment because the two very very separate disciplines. So so I think that specialization is a really good way to go with that. So let me just start at the top and just give you some feedback on this. So this reminds me quite a lot of a job that we recently pulled off. So I can hopefully say something clever about that because right down here you actually show some breakdown processes of your thought process. But what I would love to see is now just grab this, put it in here. Let me just grab this. So this is just, let's start off with something about page setup. So you're showcasing very different steps of how you made this from progression. So I would say the first row of images could be your exploration pieces. So something where you show maybe 4 different thumbnails. Just showcase some of this brain power being put into this project that you have been thinking about. Should it be a top down, this perspective? Should we be in the street level looking up at something? Should we look at it from far away where it's more flat? Or should we look at something really up close? So this is something I would also like to see because this is okay. This and this, and then final result. What I would like to see is that you can handle initial sketch, so these, that you can handle an initial block out, but from there I would just go ahead and do like this. I don't need to see all these steps, I just want to see the final result, your thought process in the beginning, and a 3D block out. So that would be my recommendation for this. That means that you will end up with a page that has maybe some breakdowns of your thoughts and then a final 3D version and maybe some outtakes from that. So it could be like a call out of maybe a central prop that you used, maybe one of the buildings. So sketches, 3D, and maybe a call out for a central prop. So for this image, let's just dive a little bit into the image in itself. First of all, I'll take this away. It really draws focus, this one. Color is much more subtle. This one is way too saturated in colors, like on the based on the pollution that you have in the atmosphere. So that's just the first thing that's jumped into my mind. But what I really miss, sorry, there was a little bit of detour. The first thing I would say is I would cut away maybe all of this. That's real estate that you don't need. I would give it a little bit more space here, and I would inject some sort of story into this. So maybe you have these like cyber kids hanging out on this abandoned rooftop. Maybe one of them is doing graffiti on the wall. So I know it's not a character piece, but you can add some simple stuff up here. Just something that tells a story of some sort, because right now this is very generic sci-fi. So just to add some sort of like interest, maybe there's 2 people. Let me just draw that a little bit better. So one person is, how do you stand when you, like leaning out, looking, smoking a cigarette. Another guy just briefly talking about something, having a point, blah blah. So this says something, like these are some people in action. That says something about the environment, them looking at this, maybe one sitting up here. I know it's a very different piece all of a sudden, but my recommendation is always to try to tell some sort of story with the image that you're doing. On a second note, let me just, so this is the first kind of feedback on this image. My secondary note is that you have a very, very weird clump of buildings down here. Then you have something up here, and then you have something here, and then something in the back, and then of course the foreground element. But unless you're trying to depict the Kowloon walled city, this like sort of it feels very much like it's boxed in. There's some sort of box in the ground. You can even see it in your 3D blockout. So I would definitely make like something that just connects this, because otherwise it just looks like a block. Right now this is very blocky, like boxed out. Let me just try to grab this. So this is gonna be rough, I know. Something like this. So right now I'm trying to just close this gap, and I know this is the most hack and slash way to do it, but hopefully it communicates my point. So right now I'm just trying to close this gap. Let me just get a different brush. So something like this, I don't know, something like this. Same goes with behind here. I would just, come on Photoshop. Is this it went on this weird mode. So sometimes it does this where the eyedropper becomes something else. And right now, while recording, there we go, I can't remember like how it is, because it was set on point sample. I just want the 11 by 11, so I could sample a little bit on the side. And maybe I should just do the extra effort on actually selecting so that you can see what's going on. Something like this. I would just drop in some extra layers of buildings here, just so to make sure that there's not this weird gap in between. So something like this would probably be nice. And then of course you have the foreground here. So you see right now I'm just trying to close off the gaps, compositional. So that's the way I would start to like fix this. Then of course, as I mentioned earlier, there was like this very bright sign, like I would dull it down. Same goes with this, especially this. I would really dull it down, because it is right now it's quite far away from the camera. So you know that you have your camera, you have your layers of haze and whatever is in the atmosphere, dust particles, pollution and stuff like that. So the further you get away, if the atmosphere is sort of like this, like if you have a local object that is like this in the different layers, it would start to pick up all that is in the air. So it would like slowly wash out in this direction. So I would just wash this out. Same with this. Just wash it down. Maybe this is a bit too hefty, so wash it down a little bit. Like also the neon signs, if they become too attention seeking, just wash it out a little bit. I mean, you could also in the background here just have a little bit of like a sense of some nice lighting going through here. I think that would be nice to have some sort of evening light. I think they could even show, let me just try to do this, like some sort of evening sun out here in the background. I could also show a little bit on the foreground buildings here. Now I'm painting directly on. It's gonna be really messy, this thing. So I just like a little bit of afternoon like glow on this buildings here, so that you can also like showcase what's going on in here, like pipes or what kind of material is on here and stuff like that. So it doesn't need to be so cast in shadows, I think. And it would also like, you have this very big glare that is not really related to anything right now. So if you put a big sun here, something like this, it would sort of make sense with the glare. It's a little bit low, but I mean, it's okay. So I think that's note for that one. So let me just check out, so like, I think I have time to give you 2 feedback. So let me just grab the one that makes most, to hell with it. I'll go a little bit over. I also want to say something about your prop, but definitely I want to say something about this one also. So let me just, this was the first piece. So let me just say something about this. So right now I can see in your portfolio that it's some sort of ship, but I'm not quite sure what kind of ship is it. So like right out of the gate, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So you have some sort of foreground element, that's nice, but it's taking up a lot of the real estate as well. If you want to be about the ship, I would move this a little bit out or make it a little bit smaller. So like scale this down so that maybe the characters are like this, so that they don't fill up that much space. Because right now you're cutting off so much of the space with these bridges that I can't really see what's going on in here. Secondly, like you're saying something about a hull design here. I guess it's the same kind of design you want here, but right now I'm not quite sure what's going on, because is the form like this, and then all of a sudden in the back it's all square. So I'm really not sure how that is. Like normally a ship would, I need to find a different color. Rip. Normally a ship would follow some sort of this design all the way through. So for me, I'm not really sure why it's all of a sudden so like why is it so blocky back here. It's a design I haven't seen before, and since it's not really like explained, then I'm getting just more confused and I'm getting intrigued. I'm sorry, I'm sorry to say. Second of all, what is the purpose of this ship? I mean, this is like something, when you build something like this, is it, let me try to make some icons. Is it a ship of war? Is it bullets? Is this transporting oil? Is it transporting something poison? Whatever it is that this ship has a purpose on. Either it's a gunship with lots of cannons, then it would show in all of the design with guns on top of it. Is it an oil tanker? Then it would show with like big fat oil drums on top of it. You need to figure out what's the purpose of this ship. What is it that I'm looking at? As soon as you know what kind of purpose this ship has, then you can start to go into this and design it. Because I mean, if you look at, yeah, let me just, yeah, okay. This is military. It's pointy and sharp, triangle, like very aggressive shape. This is industrial, heavy, stable. So whatever kind of mindset you're pulling into this, like is it pointy and tacky? Is it like aggressive? Then figure out what it is. And then if it's like a cargo ship, then it needs to be like, it doesn't need to be aggressive. So figure out what the purpose of this ship is, and then let the design follow that function that the ship has. So like to sum up, like move these out and then give this ship some sort of purpose. And then build, of course, in 3D so that you know everything's going on. Let me just skip over these. I think they're quite, like you have a good sense of paint. So that's nice to, that's good. So I would say something about this. Let me just grab this in. Boop. And let me just like shamelessly plug my own image here. So this, right now you're showing, oh shit, I can't go full screen, just a second. I always forget, I can't go full screen when I'm recording here in Photoshop. So right now you're showing it directly from the side. So I'm pretty sure that when you have a sniper rifle, you would like to have 2 legs on a sniper, on a rifle with a scope, because you want stability to not rock back and forth to side. But right now, since you are showcasing it directly from the side, I have no idea whether or not this is the case. So something like this, that's not really well explained. I have no idea about the depth of this weapon. I mean, I can guess it's round, so it should be pretty straightforward, but I'm not really quite sure. So what I try to do here in this one is that I show it a little bit of at an angle, so you can actually, you can see that, boop. So you can actually see the depth and the size and the dimensions of this piece. So that I try to explain as much as I can in this shot, so that somebody who takes over will be able to model out from this one. I also include a little bit of a silhouette here, so if you actually want, you can go in and then grab this and put it directly into Blender or whatever software you're using, and then just model from that one. So I would recommend just to do a little bit of an extra effort to make it a 3D version of it, so that you can put an angle to it, so you can showcase it like this. Just as a note, I don't think that the mag for this kind of rifle would be curved. That's an AK kind of mag, so I would believe that this is more like the standard rifle issued to American soldiers. It looked more like that, and it would be sort of something like this. So also go in and look at a little bit like how this would be. Also the handle on this, if you go in and look at rifles, they have a little bit more like this kind of handle, as far as I can remember. So it's something about ergonomy. That's a hard word. Something about how you would hold the rifle when you're holding it with your hand. So just go in and make sure that it's actually something that you can hold. So Yeah, sort of the same thing about like look if you look at the rifle from the side, you also know, get like told what is this shape because currently I'm not really sure. It's very square, so I have no idea whether or not this uh, what this piece actually is. And then just go in and really research what's going on here because this is way too simple. So go in and like a scope has multiple like attachments and stuff like that, how it's actually placed. It has dials and stuff like that. I know it's an old rifle, but go in and really research it. Same with this. The cocking handle here, I believe, is on the back of this kind of rifle. So really go in and do your research. And yes, of course, on top of my mind, if it's wrong, I apologize. But it looks like there could be need some more research in here. So I think that's basically what I had to say. You have some more props here, but it follows sort of the same pattern that I would like to say something about. Maybe just make like a hilt attachment on this one. Other than that, I think you're in a good shape actually. It's looking promising. So just I mean, keep on trucking and yeah, all the best to your progress and like. I'm glad I'll be happy to look at it again when you think you have reached a good level up and let's see where you're at. Okay, cool. Thanks. Take care. Bye.